how did you perceive the launch so far? I guess it's 2 days ago already. Was it good for you? I mean, it's nice to, launch something that you build, no? It's always a great feeling.
Oh yeah, it's always it's nervous and, like it's just, what are people gonna think? It's it's super interesting. And then also the bugs that we're getting. That's always how
I
it's like,
mean,
oh, how do we miss that one?
yeah, but that's it's always like that, no?
Oh, for sure.
Nothing is bug-free in software. Okay, let's just see.
I love the propagation around the world. Just checking out the map in Pushy. It's like every day there's a new country getting added.
Oh, nice. How many countries have been added now? Or
Well, I don't think there's a counter, but I do take a screenshot every day of the map. It just keeps getting interesting. It's like you can also observe like where the tech talents are, who are the ones studying, things like that. Which countries are more of adopting to new technologies. It's quite interesting.
it's nice. All right, nice to see you, James. Oh, a lot of new faces or new emojis. No, new handles. There we go. All right. How's it going? Cool. I think just one more minute and I'll just get started and probably people like come in and out. That's usually how it is with these things. And Max said he's gonna join also in a bit. He's just just actually getting back from the airport. All right, cool. Then let's start. I think we have a good group here. So nice for everyone to join, and I have two co-hosts with me, Alan and Neil, both engineers on the TGUI and T, obviously. They were instrumental in building TGUI, which we released 2 days ago on Product Hunt, and a lot of you were super supportive, and I think every one of you was very supportive and helped upvote us, and shared feedback and reviews, and it was just really incredible to see all that support coming from you. And we didn't make it to number 1, but that's okay. There was some CRM tool that just, I don't know, blew out of the water. But never mind. I think in terms of developer tools, Product Hunt is, it's a good place, and I think we did well. I read a lot of like really cool feedback and just put like a little slide, like a few slides together in terms of like what we did. So let me just see here. I can share this. Yeah, so maybe this is too big. Let me just reshare. Sorry. I'm just going to
My
slide
mic
mode.
isn't on, is it?
It's on.
Oh, okay.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Good.
Thanks for joining. All right, so there we go. So a couple of highlights. We've like crossed, I think at the time when the leaderboard or the day at Product Hunt ended, we were at like 300 something, like 380 upvotes or so, or maybe a bit less. Now we've crossed the 400 upvotes, which is nice. Nice to see that people are still kind of like searching and looking for it. Because everyone can continuously upvote. It's like open forever. People are also leaving comments still and reviews. So we've got 74 comments and 11 5-star reviews. That's great. Not a single 4-star or less review. These apparently count a lot on Product Hunt in terms of listing in different topics. So that's also cool that people are leaving reviews. I think overnight we gained like 130 new followers on Twitter just from that launch. So that's due to obviously a lot of people tweeting out about the launch and kind of like resharing the tweet that we kind of like provided. I think there were like more than 50 mentions across the day, and that was great to see as well. I know this might be a bit small. I hope it's not too pixelated. But yeah, that was just like a great like feedback from people. Some of you are here in this group, and some may not be. But in general, I think I like this one from Hector quite a lot because it sounds like he's a designer, and I like that he said that the T GUI makes a dev environment feel approachable as a non-dev, and I think that's exactly what we try to achieve. But I'll also let Alan and Neil talk a bit about this. We got homebrew users. I think everyone is a homebrew user. That's a developer at one point. And then just like we were like on purpose a bit provocative in terms of like calling it the homebrew replacement. But we do generally think that there is a better way to do package management nowadays, and yeah, so I think we were all okay with that. There was one interesting one, we did have that nod to like open source monetization, and there was this one comment down here, just suggesting, hey, would be cool to set up some kind of like fixed monthly contribution amount to various packages that we're using. I guess a lot akin to there's like something called setup or GitHub sponsors, etc. I mean, we definitely will build something in that space. We want to look at the entire open source ecosystem, right, to do that, and that's something that benefits everyone, not just the top projects, the ones that can market themselves the best. But I thought that was a great feedback from Valerie. And yeah, I don't know, for those of you who have not, I guess everyone has checked it out already. But for those of you who have not seen the T GUI, I don't know what's the best way. Alan, do you think I should show a demo, or Neil as well, or do you want to kind of like go in and I don't know, talk a bit about your experience building it? How do you feel like it?
Well, is there anyone on the call who hasn't played with it yet? I mean, I feel like this is the super user crowd, right?
Yeah, that's a good question. Who hasn't played with it? Well, no one's raising a hand, so that was probably the wrong question to ask. No, but I mean, I can share real quick my screen and show the application. Go. So this is what TGUI looks like. For those of you who haven't seen it, I think everyone's seen it by now, whether it's on pictures or downloaded it and used it. If you haven't downloaded it, do download it and give it a spin if you're on macOS, Intel or M chip. So that all works. And yeah, we've added this like discover section kind of like to highlight a curated list of packages that we think are really cool. There are like two AI projects in there, and I think AI is one of those open source topics that T is really well built for. As long as it's packageable, we can package it, we can distribute it to the T package manager, and then with the GUI, it's like it becomes super, super easy to run Stable Diffusion with just a click of a button. So if you have it installed, you can just like open it super easily in your terminal, and then it runs the whole process. I just shared this application, so that's why you don't see that. Further on, I think there were a lot of questions comparing kind of like the TGUI to the CLI, right? There's obviously preferences, people who love CLIs and terminal applications. There's others who prefer graphical interfaces. I think the iPhone and all these like application stores have kind of primed us for the TGUI already, because we're so used to scrolling visually through these like squares, which are not apps but packages, and then installing them. And I think this is what I really like about it, is that it's really it's not a new interface that I have to get used to, and it's something that I've seen in other places, and it's just applied to a package manager, which I've not seen another package manager do this. So that's why I think it's great. And then having kind of like your updates visually shown to you is a really nicely added feature, because right now with the CLI, there's really not a good way to see all the updates, at least at a glance, or even for like a specific package. You would have to like check with each package if there's an update available, and this way it just gives you a notification if there's a new update. And I thought that was that's a really nice touch, and probably one of those killer features for the TGUI. But yeah, maybe over to Neil and Alan. Maybe you want to add something that you like about it, when you've built it, or.
I mean, I can speak to it some. Like, so number one, I'm not the target user for a GUI. I'm pretty comfortable in the CLI, but I have a lot of empathy. I think in general, the current way the tech industry stands, there's a lot of people trying to come in, trying to enter tech, and there's a lot of different skill levels and stuff like that. And I'm really against kind of this gatekeeper mentality that a lot of people can have. I think in order to kind of help us grow, we all get better together. And part of that is making things like this more accessible, right? Not everyone's comfortable with the terminal, right? This is kind of, to me, like a bridge, right? Okay, you install your package, and now you can just dip your toes in the water and start using it in the terminal. It's a much more comfortable experience to a lot of novices. And I think like as we grow and as we start exploring this space, like it's going to be huge. Not just with that, but also with like some of the end user ones. The Stable Diffusion, the Stable Diffusion package is the killer feature right now. Like, there's a lot of people that are kind of, I think, as I've showed it to them, they can kind of, the GUI's cool. Then you show them the Stable Diffusion thing. It's like, look, this is AI for everyone. This is, this is running on your machine, and then you just get that wow factor. Like, wait, what? And I think that as we start adding more of those use cases, I think is just the momentum's just going to be with us. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah. that's a great point. I think Neil, what do you have something to add?
Yeah, well, on my end, personally, it's one of the best features that I enjoy most is definitely the updates tab. It's much visually compelling to update to the latest version or release of a specific package. And I think this creates an opportunity for two things for packages. In a way, eventually we might be able to, we will be adding a way for, this is currently a one-way communication. Developers sending updates towards the end user. Eventually, we can create a system wherein it's going to be a feedback mechanism also towards the uh, open source developers. And once that feedback loop is created, it will create something more interesting eventually on the part of this ecosystem. Maybe more improvements. Maybe in a way, the platform can be a way to for these communications to thrive. Yeah, so that's one. Then when we saw the feature that stable diffusion was that was just suddenly implemented by Maxa on one day, it's like, okay, let that button exist. But it created some very interesting opportunities for everyone on there's more. There's a way to make this make OSS or these tools accessible for more individuals. Especially when I've been showing it to non-tech people. It's like, wow. Oh, these things are available, etc. I think we might be able to see more things eventually on, I don't know what those things are, but I'm excited on these possibilities. It's just that there's too much to assume right now. I mean, we have a list of what these things can be. There's just too much to mention about it, but we'll see. We'll just have to keep growing the platform and the ecosystem.
Yeah, I think the cool thing is that it's, like an, iPhone's App Store or the iOS App Store, right? This is this is vastly bigger, or this has a much bigger potential, because it's kind of packaging all of open source and making this available in this like really compartmentalized form, and it makes it available to everyone. You don't need to be a developer. And Alan, you said you're not the target audience for this, but I bet even you're using it now, and like you said, right, that killer feature with Stable Diffusion and opening this to run on your browser and then on the web, it's that's definitely something that was kind of like that we didn't have, that we didn't plan with at the beginning, but there was always our plan, like in the in the long term, right, that we have these kind of like appified packages that exist, and a lot of open source can be kind of like reduced to this like package that we can then run and open on behalf of the user, and just make it really simple, abstracting away all kind of like installation process, essentially, of dependencies, of packages, of setting environment variables, etc. I mean, there's so much more that is still to come. Like Neil said, one of the things also that we haven't included yet here at all, but we have a dedicated repo for this, is like our demo scripts, right? Like we have whether it's a bash script, Go scripts, TypeScript scripts, etc. T can run scripts, whether it's from the internet, whether it's locally, and these can be in different languages as well, and we can also chain together different languages within one script. So I feel like that's something that is still coming to also the T GUI, and let you as user kind of build your own scripts and also offer scripts to other people, right? I mean, this is all like open source, so whenever there's a new packet like we don't control the individual packages, right? So whenever there's a new version cut for Stable Diffusion Web UI, we'll get an update and we'll push it through the T package manager and the GUI so that they can update it. And that's true for every other package. And the same thing can be true for scripts, for example. So I could build a script and just offer it up on the T GUI, I don't know, store, or like, just like one of the side things here. One of the tabs here on the side might say, scripts, and then you would see scripts from all over the place. And I could inspect, and these are vetted and things that we can like read and understand, and then we can see what the script actually does, and then we can run it, the same way we can run Stable Diffusion Web UI with just a click of a button. And I think this will open up so many more possibilities. There's other actions that we can tie to. I know James is here as well. In the beginning, we talked about kind of like T commands. You remember T commands, and T commands are or for the T GUI could be actions, right? We could provision a Postgres database from within the T GUI because Postgres already exists as a package. It's built for T. There's only like a little bit more that we need to do in order to actually then run it for you locally. And these could be T actions that you can tie to different packages. And I think that's also a really exciting prospect that has not been done visually like this. I mean, it's been done like, I can taking the Postgres example, right? I can download a Postgres app from Postgres or .app, and there's like, it's just like a one function application that runs on my computer to spin up a Postgres database and open the ports that I need for it to be open. But like, if I don't need to run that, like, why do I need this app all the time? Whereas with T, it's just, you have so much more possibilities. So that's what I like about it. Tell me a little bit about, okay, so there's a question by Andre. TGUI has been developed with Electron.js. I wanted to learn Electron immediately. How was the the process, building T with Electron? I know, Neil, you started off with something else, so maybe you can go into that.
Oh boy. Okay, just to be straight, Electron has been like okay, we initially started with Tauri. I started comparing initially, I think last year, Tauri versus Electron. And I initially decided on building it on top of Tauri because we can also maximize Rust. But midway we decided it's like we needed a deep linking feature, and Tauri has not yet supported that specific feature of being able to basically implement our own custom protocol and be able to navigate through the app from anywhere. So, oh man, working with Electron is tough because there's still that kind of mindset of a back end, front end, or client side feature like a render main thread, and it's causing us some trouble in terms of wiring. But I think right now that's the main struggle in terms of the mental model of working with Electron. And but beyond that, it's just very very verbose. Or it just requires so much coding. Yeah, compared to before. Oh,
Yeah, I've been through the Electron repos, unfortunately, tracking down a lot of bugs. And by the way, they're looking for maintainers. I think this is one of those things where it's the exact same issue where you've got multi-billion-dollar companies making tons of money on Electron, and yet they can't get enough maintainers to actually, fix stuff, right? So to me, Electron is both. As I was going through the code base, I think I put it in Slack somewhere the other day where it's like horrifying and amazing all at the same time. I'm surprised it works sometimes, like looking at that code base. But it's a marvel of engineering. They've really managed to like kind of tie things together. But they've got some frustrating bugs in there. I think I finally got auto updates working correctly. They had some reentrancy issues. I don't know if it's intended or not. I'm trying to open up an issue with them, but given the warning that they don't have enough maintainers on the page, it makes me nervous, right? Electron's, for what it does, I think Electron lets us move faster than native, for sure. But there's definitely some drawbacks to that multi-platform thing. So.
Yeah, it was quite frightening when you shared that, that one of the key packages in Electron was like looking for maintainers. And it's like a prime example for T, right? Like why T should exist.
Something needs to solve this problem. And I think T is the only company I've heard that's making an earnest effort to actually solve it for real. And that's why I'm with you guys. That's why I'm here, is because it's something that's been going on in the software for so long, and we keep kicking the can down the road. Log4j, whatever it is. It happens, and then everyone says we need to do something about it, and then nothing gets done over and over and over again. So.
Yeah. So Sanchit asked, like, how does something or like a package make it to the Discover tab? Like, is there? I mean, we launched 2 days ago, right? So we kind of like put up, kind of like our favorite packages and like packages that we thought are cool. TCLI included, obviously. But yeah, like I guess going forward, like, do you have kind of like an idea, or like what would you like to see on kind of like the Discover, like how the Discover page evolves? Or Sanchit, maybe you can chime in if you want. What would you like to see there? You said having an AI page like dedicated to AI open source projects. If you're speaking, Sanchit, I can't hear you yet. I think your mic's not.
I think I only heard it.
Or maybe he's shy.
But he unmuted himself, so maybe he's trying to speak. Magnus is writing a really long paragraph already. Is it going to be a rant about a controversial Electron framework? I think so. He's saying, I think that the way he's using Electron is fine because you guys are moving quickly. It needs to be able to pivot fast. Yeah, Electron isn't great for something like Microsoft Teams. Yes, especially if you need to have like phone calls and live video conferences. In another life, I built a video conferencing app, and yeah, it was really, really difficult.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, Sanchit,
Yeah.
we hear you.
I had push to talk enabled on Discord. That's my bad. Well, so I actually like. Okay. So the use case that was there was that I just found Dua as on the all packages page, and then it just seemed like useful, right? And I don't know, like I happened upon it, and I was like, oh, this seems like a really fun tool. And yeah, it is a really fun tool. It's helped me clean up and clear a bunch of disk space that I didn't know that I was otherwise using. And I was wondering, like, if I don't know, something like there's got to be like a newness as well on Discover that I think would be cool, like newness and then trending topic and other thing that we think is fun, right? So for instance, like just whatever the latest release package is just always on Discover because it's the latest thing. That could be one. And then some cool AI one. I really like Stable Diffusion. I think Whisper has just come through, but that's a bit like of a pain to use. It's not as pretty as Stable Diffusion. And then something that we like. That'd be a cool thing to discover. I just remember like reading lists, curated lists that somebody I trust would write. And that was a cool way that I used to discover content on the early internet. And somewhere along the way, you kind of lost that. So I think like using the Discover or something like that, right? Is like this is what we think is cool about open source. So
Nice. Yeah, that's good feedback. I like that. So I just installed Whisper. If you're still following my screen, but like I think like one of the things I like that there's I guess this fetches the GitHub README if there's a GitHub package, like if there's a GitHub attached to it. You know, sometimes packages just don't exist on GitHub. You know, maybe they're self-hosted somewhere else, like the source code, because it's like from the pre-GitHub era. But I think many of the newer, probably smaller packages are on GitHub nowadays. But yeah, you know what would be cool? Like, I can open this in the terminal. But one of the cool things, I guess it doesn't want to open in my terminal today. There's like some issue with my setup.
Yeah,
Anyway,
oh, go ahead.
so no, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying this. Yeah, I think there's a thing with Klee executing that we're trying to figure out what is going wrong with it. But if you just type T Whisper, it should still work on Klee.
Yeah, exactly. Because I got the TCLI installed. I mean, I could just probably type Whisper. The problem is I don't know any of the commands in Whisper. This is installing the model first. What would be cool is kind of like, you know, your first command you can do, I guess. But that's more or less for these like standalone packages, where I don't need to tie it in with something else, or use it as a dependency. So like Whisper, Stable Diffusion, you know, these type of packages.
So
But,
I
you know, I
totally
guess-
agree. And I spent like I want to say a month trying to figure out how to package Whisper up, and I don't think I eventually ended up doing it correctly because Max had made a couple of changes before merging it in. But I totally agree, right? And I think that like being really familiar with how I package this, I think there's like a couple of really fun example use cases that I would have liked to have included on the GUI as almost like a developer note from like packaging this, right? It's like, here's how you can get started real quick. Or here's like a common problem that I encountered when I used this, and here's how maybe you can not experience the same problem that I had, right? Like if I could add that as a decoration on the GUI, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Package or note, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think there's also, I mean, we can already, like, at least I have the ability to kind of like click and then like it edits, like it opens the correct pantry. So this is like, I remember before it was like really hard to like get to the actual like package YAML, and now it's like just a click away. And I think that's really cool because, you know, oftentimes you want to package something, and you know, there could be like a dev mode. I'm just like spinning here. Like there could be a dev mode that could say, okay, you know, these packages use like this, like similar build scripts. I don't know. And then you can see like all the similar build scripts, and this would make it really easy because this is obviously open sourced. Each package YAML is open source for each package. And it serves as a lot of inspiration for when you're actually packaging things up and adding new packages to T, to our pantry. So yeah, I always look for, you know, like similar languages, how are they doing the packaging? If I can find like, you know, like an ideal documentation for how to like build and install this for this in this package YAML. So I think that's one thing. And yeah, like Sanchit said, it would be cool to have like a developer node. I think that's great. And then yeah, you can like, I think there are ideas, to add like more content to this, like selectively. Let me just see who's muted or unmuted. I can just, oops. There you go. Okay. Okay. Yeah. And then what else? I had another question on my mind.
Well, so real quick, going back to what Sanchit was saying, like I know we've talked about like adding package reviews, but I think it'd be really cool, like if there was a way to like put like comments and reviews and stuff, like if you go back to like that details page, you've got kind of you got the multi tabs down there, you got the details, the version. If there is some sort of comments or commentary or something, so you almost integrate kind of like a Stack Overflow or something like that directly into the GUI, I think that would potentially be a killer feature that a GUI could provide that the CLI couldn't. And when you start building those killer features, to make the two complement each other, I think it really, cements that you would want to use both versus one or the other. So
that's a really good point. Yeah.
There's got to be a T pun with overflowing T or something like that. Then.
Oh.
Features. Actually, we built those features already. We just started
really?
hiding. Well, one thing you would notice about the T repositories, there's so many components there, and most of them are used because we started as we built this such a big app around maybe January. It's like so many stuff in here. Then when we transitioned into Electron, we started like trimming down. Okay, let's hide this for now. Hide this. Hide this. Hide this. Hide this. And until eventually we realized like, oh, the theme is now different. So we probably have to retheme those other components that have been built before.
Yeah,
Nice.
the code base has quite a few mentions of reviews.
To second Alan's point, though, I think that like it'd be cool for people to come here to debug issues, because like what I think this has over like Stack Overflow is that like you don't have to search, right? It's already organized by the tool itself. Right? So if you've got an issue with like charm, if you've got an issue with like I don't know, Whisper, right, or then an idea for it, you can already use that. Yeah. Because we all love GitHub, but it's also kind of a pain. But...
Oh, you mean Stack Overflow?
Oh well, I mean, like it's like
Oh.
GitHub is also organized by it. Like you can search issues on GitHub if you want, right? But like, like in addition to Stack Overflow, I think that's what this has. I guess GitHub is also organized. My point was that GitHub is also organized by like the tool itself, but it's still tough to search for. Oh, there's this issue that I had. It's not like conducive for like the issues page, and I don't know. There's something here I think that you can get that's a bit more Stack Overflow, a bit less GitHub. So.
Yeah,
I mean, if we could solve, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna rant about Stack Overflow and how people won't answer my damn questions, or they get closed, they don't follow the rules. The best way to get an answer on Stack Overflow is to have an alt account. You have an alt account, you answer wrong, and then someone will come in and correct you. That is the secret right there, guys.
Nice. Yeah, I think in a way right now we have only one set of notifications, right? Which is for a new is it a new update of package that I have installed, or is it for all new releases? Remind me. So any new package, even if I don't have it installed, do I get a notification?
No.
Only was what I have installed. Okay.
Yeah, only packages you have installed, you will get push notifications for it. But, I think though we might want to eventually send notifications relative to by category. Like for this is one of those things I've been observing on how people are searching in the GUI in the past few days. It's like we need to enrich the data or context of the packages. We have not done that because basically don't have the time. But like if someone searches for AI, maybe all packages that are related to AI might appear. But if someone searches for, let's say, for example, JavaScript or TypeScript TS node, we might want to present other alternatives like it. Or like for example, I think the best example that I've seen is uh when someone searches for curl, maybe we want to also suggest competing packages like HTTPA, something like that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think especially in the AI ecosystem right now, like if you're following kind of the, llama and then alpacas and all these different things that are built on top of each other to like, eventually get this, these end user models. Like, I think, Sanchit was talking about it, where if there's some form of like, grouping or classification where you can like see everything happening in your area of interest, because like the AI devs are all going to want to keep track of all the AI packages coming, and the web devs are going to want all that stuff, and so there's a lot of different personas that I think it'd be useful if we could identify those, and kind of give some curated content for them. So
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point. I remember now what I wanted to ask. Well, before that, Andre just said, the script, like if there's like going to be a script section and could be a great platform for distributing custom scripts using T. And yeah, 100%. So that's the plan. Like I said, initially we have just this like demo or demo scripts repo right now, just to showcase kind of like what's possible using scripts. But already, I believe even I think I can even go into this one and look it up online. Yeah, there's already like some scripting going on here, but even more so that scripts will be a really big part of how we want to chain together different packages and build really cool things, because automating different setups, for example, right, like basic things, to running, like I said in the beginning, Postgres or some AI tools, that's like all possible with T, and the T GUI just makes it very simple. And then you can share these scripts with other people that are using T GUI as well. So I think that's going to be really cool. It's similar to, I guess, Apple has also these like automations. I don't recall exactly what they're called. But yeah, you can also then share like your automations that you've built, and other people can install it. So that's a cool thing.
Were you referring to shortcuts?
Thank you. Yes, it was shortcuts. That's one. Not as cool as scripts. Yeah, Automator is also one, but yeah, shortcuts is definitely easier than Automator. What I wanted to ask is so I'm logged in here into the T GUI. I know probably people like saw this login button and probably clicked it. What happens? Like, what's currently I like, is it synced anywhere? Because like it's all local, right? It's like just connecting to my local like home.t directory. What's coming with the login in the future? Not now, but in the future. Or what do you want to come? What do you want it to be?
Well, I think right now the main intent for the login is just be able to connect your GitHub, but beyond that, there's no other purpose. But I think we wanted to be able to track or we wanted to connect it eventually to how we are going to distribute the T tokens, or I assume that's the main intent of that. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I from somewhere I got a question like, whether that's synced with the cloud or, with my profile, etc. But I think, one of the strong like advantages of T is that it's all local. I think that's just huge benefit. Of course, there's a benefit to having it sync across your devices, but like realistically, it's so easy to set up T and just install the packages that you need to install. Probably what we could do in the future if you do have really the need to sync everything across different browsers, different computers, different machines, is probably just like a file like what all the packages that you have installed, and then you can just like, I don't know, iterate over them and use them with T. But probably you don't even need that because they will anyway be installed the moment you using any of these packages in action when executing a script or a program or anything like that. So yeah, it will just reinstall itself on a different machine. Yeah. All right. Keep the questions coming. Are there more questions? Or is there anything that you guys want to add that I haven't mentioned yet?
Well, I mean, maybe this is just not in the scope of T, but Brew has cat, which is really one of my favorite features. And I was wondering if maybe with the GUI, I don't know if it's a reconsideration or this was always the plan, but maybe adding something like casks.
I really wish Max would be here right now to answer that question. I think Max has a very strong opinion on Cask, the way that Homebrew implemented it. I don't know. It would be like unfair of me to like reiterate that. I don't know if Jacob, I see Jacob is here, but probably busy on the other end. If you have an opinion on that or an opinion.
I mean, I think long term we want to have a way to distribute basically anything that people can distribute with T. We've sort of thought idly about ways that you might distribute, say, operating system binaries, which is what casks are, right? In general, it's things like Chrome that are application bundles as opposed to compiled software, which is how Brew started and how T started as well. So we're always looking for ideas. Like we've thought about some ways it could work. Obviously, installing something under applications or even under user applications breaks T's paradigm of installing to its own prefix, so as to not pollute the operating system. You can work around stuff like that with symlinks. There's a lot of ideas for what could be done. And I think long term we want T to be a complete solution for what people need. So that's almost certainly going to happen in some capacity. It's just a matter of what capacity and what it looks like and when we get to it, or if somebody has ideas and starts working on it, we're always happy to look at additions and argue about where they go and if they go. And we love getting code from the community as well, because you guys think of stuff we don't think of, and it's always fantastic.
Yeah, thanks Jacob for that. All right. I guess Magnus is typing a lot, but he's probably busy, so he can't speak. That's why he can't speak. But if you wanted to, you can obviously speak. Yeah, it's nice, like idea, like auto package. Yeah, there's something about that. I think we're like close like to the hour. I know I set this for like 2 hours, but you know, we don't need to stretch it. I think we covered a lot on the TGUI. Maybe a couple final words from you and then from me.
Which you?
Like you, I mean Alan and Neil.
Well, I mean, I seriously would be curious to like, you know, any community members, like, you know, what's drawing you to T? Why are you using it? You know, and what do you want to see from us in the future? So, like, if anyone wants to just chime in, I would love to get the feedback. You know, I think what we're doing is really special. I think that, you know, you look at the state of the world and, you know, the little guy keeps getting stepped on, and I think that T is a way to empower builders and empower. You know, it's software is one of the last cottage industries we have in this world. Sometimes, you know, where it's like, you know, you have an idea and you can just whip it up in your house, you know, like on your laptop, and next thing you know, you're creating value. And you know, looking at kind of like this, you know, this modern, like, you know, AI gold rush and stuff, like you're seeing a lot of, you know, a lot of this kind of same, like, you know, random guy, you know, outflanks Google on a Thursday night, you know, with new training methods and stuff, right? And that's the kind of innovation I want to see. But like, I want to know, like, from the people that are actually kind of on the front lines building this, what's drawing you to T, and what do you want us to do? Anybody?
Oh, I was trying to not unmute myself, but that's too tempting. That was really profound what you said about the cottage industry. I hadn't ever thought about that, because it really is, isn't it? So what draws me to T is that, well, I loved homebrew, and T just improves on it, and oh, I had so many ideas. Sorry, I'm split between my meeting that's coming in. You guys, let's see. So, I really, it's so easy to package with T, because it's like you don't have to rewrite anything. It's just you copy their install instructions or their build instructions into the script, and so it's, you know, you don't have to learn Ruby and learn all these, you know, their little functions to do everything. And I know this now because I've been reading their recipes to convert them. I'm like, man, this is so convoluted. And I mean, I can see why they did it, but I think it was a bad idea. And, anyway, but the T, you know, because I do deployment, I do software deployment, and T's just a really, really good way. I mean, I've played with NPM and VM and all these different, you know, things, and I see all, it's like Max took all the best ideas from all these things and he's put it all together. And the Web3 thing, I try and stay out of that, but I think it's a good idea. I think it sounds like a good idea, but, you know, I personally tell people to stay away from crypto, but I think what you guys are doing is probably, you know, one of the best possible uses of crypto. So yeah. So anyway, I had to say that because it was too tempting.
Well, thank you for bringing up NVM. It's something I don't use anymore since I started using T. And all the other, like it's amazing. Like, and then here's the thing. It's not just NVM. It's NVM. It's, you know, Java JM or whatever. It's all these different environment managers that just go away. It's so nice. Yeah, and on the crypto thing, I still think that kind of resonates with me with, like, all right, like, I'm gonna give my honest opinion on crypto, and we're probably getting recorded, but I'm not gonna say anything too, like, I do think there's an association with scams. You're not the first person to bring this up, right? However, like, the thing that got me excited about crypto is the fact that, once again, you look at these big centrally managed banks and things like that, and what they're doing, probably even today, I mean, check the news, but we've got, you know, corruption and whatever, and clawing back that power from the big centralized organizations and bringing it back into the average user, I think, is a core tenet of, you know, what needs to happen. And I think being able to empower people, like, to get paid without having to go through these centralized things is huge. You know, when I early in my career, the iPhone App Store came out, and I was watching developers, leave these big jobs to go just make apps at home and stuff, and like enabling a way for them to get paid for open source is like it can bring this back. We can bring back this idea that like, oh, you don't need to go work for some giant company now. You've got the ability to monetize your creations and get supported and actually build the thing you love versus the thing your boss is telling you to do that you really don't care about. So
I thought I'd jump in real quick, or just one more time, and just say the thing about what I don't think people get about crypto is that it is an attack on banks, and I think where the scamminess comes, people are like, hey, you can get rich or your retirement, but I don't think that's what crypto is. I don't think it's what it's designed to do. It's really an attack on the banks, and I'm trying to stay out of that fight. I actually support crypto, but these are the banks. I believe they run the world. I believe they run the governments. So good luck.
Maybe it's a
Nice.
fight worth fighting for.
What's that?
Maybe it's a fight worth fighting for.
Probably. I'm afraid the banks. Yeah, I conspiracy theory time. Anyway.
well, I mean, so what's the polyfill library for? It wasn't Babel. It's some JavaScript polyfill library where the bank sanctions basically stopped the guy from getting a sponsorship, and he had to stop maintaining that library that's used by, once again, used by a bunch of billion-dollar businesses. And this guy is, he has to quit because, he can't get his $8,000 a year or something sponsorship.
I was just saying it's Core.js, but yeah.
Yes, Core. Yeah, there you go. Core.js. Yeah, that's the one. It's like this shouldn't happen. Like the guy is adding so much value to the open source ecosystem, and he's scraping by on donations. It's like it just rubs me wrong with my sense of justice in the world, and we'll leave it there.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that was a nice segue. I like the comparison that you brought up with the App Store era, 2008. I remember that very vividly as well. So many people just flocked. I mean, there was a new economy that was being created. Nobody could believe that this could have existed, just a year or 2 years before that. So I have a strong feeling that we're at a similar inflection point when it comes to open source. Yeah, there's a lot of people in open source that are very cautious about money, right? Money corrupts in a way. It steers in the wrong direction sometimes. So people are cautious, but still, I think there's some value to it, or like a lot of value to it, if you can provide a safe environment where you can, let your creativity run free and build something and kind of like deploy it, distribute it, and you can do that as a full-time job and live off of that. I think that's kind of like the goal here. Yeah. And the T GUI is that window into everyone, for everyone. I think that's kind of like what you also mentioned at the beginning, is that, there's the command line interface, there's the graphical interface. Right now the graphical interface is very much complement to the command line. There are people that, you can use it obviously as a standalone. It kind of things nice at the moment by using the GUI in addition to the command line. But yeah, down the road, scripts. I like that, Stack Overflow /killer that we're building into the T GUI. And just amplifying, different parts of open source that should be, that are amplified, essentially just, kind of like not very transparent because they're hidden away in README scripts or README documentation that if you just type that into your computer, it will probably run. You have no idea what you're typing in there. And you don't know if that's safe what you're doing if you're a non-developer. Just the other day, I was showing someone how to kind of like install a Chrome extension that was like banned from the web store, but it's still available on GitHub. It's like completely safe. I looked through it, and you can just run this locally. You can just build it and then add it to your Chrome extensions tab. You don't need to come from the actual Chrome store. But still, like, it's scary for a lot of people, like, because they don't know how that works. And yeah, so kind of like the T GUI is this very like wholly easy way for people to kind of like enter this world of open source. And it's also probably like, I mean, there is this all packages tab. I mean, some of these open source projects have crazy names, and like there's so many projects. I mean, people probably don't even know how many projects there are. One of the cool things I think about the visual that we have is that each project has is in the same hierarchy. There's no you're bigger than me in this project. And you can't really discern just from these cards here. LLVM is obviously a really big package, whereas ChatBlade is one of those OpenAI ChatGPT wrappers. That's still super helpful, but it's it does a very different job than LLVM and and Videolan and CircleCI, but they're in the same hierarchies, and they should be, because they're all essentially should receive kind of like the same amount of attention, and maybe more or less. Yeah, so that's kind of like my final point, I think, to this. Neil, do you want to add something?
No, well, on mine, I'm just excited to be working with you guys, with the community, and yeah, if you guys have any ideas or thoughts, just ping me, throw a a discussion or an issue in directly in the repositories. Then yeah, let's work together. Let's make this ecosystem much more awesome.
Yeah, I think that brings it to the point. Please leave feedback. I mean, we are 2 days into kind of like a public beta, and we want feedback, we want ideas, how people are using it, and what we can improve. I mean, we have our own ideas, but it's always cooler to build as a community. The GitHub repo obviously is also open. Andre, he asked about learning Electron. You can just check out the GitHub repo of the GUI, and we also use essentially like XC. It's also a package that we packaged a while ago to run, set up, and build the GUI locally if you want. So this should be super simple. All right, everyone. One person forked it, so that's nice. That wasn't there before. And I just realized I didn't share the correct screen, so I was showing the T GUI, but nobody saw that. Yeah. So GitHub, I also posted it in here somewhere. yeah, in the chat. All right. I think that's it. We're like 7 minutes past. Some new people joined, but I think we're out of questions, and I'm just continue talking. So, unless there are any questions. I noticed that sometimes you have to just give it a moment, and then, all of a sudden there's a question that comes up. No? All right. Then, thanks so much, Alan, Neil, for joining me. I know you're busy. And yeah, thanks so much for everyone that was here and kind of listened in. I've recorded this session and I'll put it up on YouTube for you guys to enjoy afterwards. And yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. I'll just mute myself and then, I'll close the room in the next 2 minutes. So, cheers.
Bye, guys. Thank you.